Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? Today, we are going to talk about The Woman in Black. Not the one I actually was expecting. We'll get into that after the synopsis. During a trip to a nearby village, the proudly unmarried Sir Ashley Carruthers attends an evening service in a small local church. There, he finds himself seated next to the alluring, hypnotical, beautiful woman in black and is instantly enraptured. But when the Viscar collapse mid-sermon after looking upon the woman's face, Ashley is left to wonder, who is this mysterious woman? And should he be worried about her pointed ears, her pointed teeth, and her ability to vanish into thin air? So, I know I just rushed the intro pretty quick, but I just wanted to talk about this for a moment. This is not the book I expected. I expected The Woman in Black from a different author about like a haunted house. This is a vampire novel. It kind of blew my mind because how this book was first like going into it, it kind of sounded like it was gonna be like a haunted house, like the one I expected. And it's not. It really threw me in for a loop that it was a vampire novel. So with that being said, this book is interesting. It's written in a way where it's written in first person, but it's also not written in first person. It kind of reminds me of like journal entries of like how they used to write like for like Dracula, but it's not like that. I'm not making any sense with any of this. This book, I did not like this book nearly as much as I thought. Like I said, when I first was going into it, I actually thought this is the book from, I think her name's Shirley Black, if I remember the other author. And I went on my Goodreads to update my reading progress. And I looked at the cover, I'm like, oh, these covers don't look the same. And then I actually found this one on Goodreads, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are completely different books, completely different authors. They're just the same title. So make sure when you guys ever get a book, make sure they're actually what you're expecting to read, I guess. But yeah, with this book, I didn't really care for it as much as I thought. And I'm not saying it was an awful book, but for one, when you expect it to be a completely different book, that really throws you in for a loop. And two, I just didn't really care for the main character, Ashley. He's not that good of a character. He's like, he just comes back from a war, and one of his friends was like telling him, he's like, I met this woman, she's amazing, and I want to spend my life with her. And he was like, why would you want to do that? Which is so funny. I actually thought it was a pretty funny little thing he said. Then he comes back and he falls in love with the woman in black, and you find out that she's a vampire. Now, there's a cool elements in this book about vampires where I did not expect. I like the elements of she has to drink blood or she'll just age. And it's kind of like from Dracula, because in Dracula, when he drinks blood, he starts reversing, he's looking younger. So in this, that's kind of what happens in The Woman in Black. But she doesn't she's basically, she could die from anything still, but she's like immortal when she has this ring. And this cover does a pretty good job at showing you like the gold ring. Now the gold ring is the one that gives her like all the powers. So I thought that was interesting, besides being immortal and drinking blood. But there was a scene where Ashley runs into the woman in black, and he has like a knife, like one of those old knives that you would cut envelopes, an envelope knife. She's like scared of it, and I was like, oh, okay. So that was like my thought. I'm like, oh, so she's like a vampire, but she's not like a really strong vampire. And that was like my thing with a lot of these older books that does vampires in it. Usually they're like super weak. Like if I had to choose, I would never want to be a vampire. I could see why Dracula just hid in his castle, because that would be miserable. You can't do hardly anything, it seems like. There's so many rules to be immortal, which is just hilarious. With The Woman in Black, I didn't mind this book. It's not what I expected going into it, clearly. And if I had to give this a rating out of 5, it'd probably be like a 3 or a 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely not one of my favorite books of the month or anything, but it's definitely not like one of the worst books. Now, I don't know if I would give this a higher rating if I read this knowing what this one is. I don't think that would change it at all, and it doesn't change my opinion of this book at all, I don't think. It's just in general, I just thought this book was, at first I thought it was cool. I mean, it was a really big twist that in my head I was like, holy crap, this is a vampire book. And then that's when I went on Goodreads to update it, and that's when I noticed things were a little different. Now, if I didn't know that at all, I would have been like, wow, this book would have been kind of cool because it's a twist that's a vampire, not like a ghost. So in general, though, I give it like a 3.5 out of 5. I think it was like executed in some ways pretty good, but other ways I just don't think it was the greatest. But I still enjoyed it enough to finish it. If you guys made it to the end of the video, what did you guys think about The Woman in Black? Did you guys read The Woman in Black, this one, or did you read the other one? I would love to know if you guys read the other one as well. If you have, let me know down below, because it would be awesome to hear what you guys say. Of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.